We got our final answer. Sort of like a millionaire, right? We have our final answer of the last question of the training camp season, and the question that we have been asking since opening night of the NFL draft. They're all one and the same. How many of the record 6 first-round quarterbacks drafted in the first 12 picks of said draft, that's the record, how many are going to start week 1? Which dovetailed into the final question of the training camp season is who's going to be the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. And just like the last time we saw 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3 to start an NFL draft in 2021, there were 5 selections in that first round in the first 15 picks. Interestingly enough, including the New England Patriots as well. Yeah. The last time we saw 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks, the first 2 started, the third did not to start the season. And we got that again because today, Jerod Mayo, head coach, New England Patriots, went with Jacoby Brissett, and he did it this way.
Just like I told you guys a few days ago, there was it's a process as far as selecting who the starting quarterback is. We have decided, or I have decided, that Jacoby Brissett will be our starting quarterback this season. Now, in saying that, as an organization, we're 100% behind Jacoby. There is no, you got a guy right here, you got a guy right there. We're 100% behind Jacoby. And I had an opportunity to talk to Drake. I had an opportunity to talk to Jacoby separately and also together. And I feel like we're all on the same page from an organizational perspective.
So, Here's my 2 opinions on this. I got 2 takes. They're all from the same silo of the take. Okay? Jerod Mayo making this move, in my estimation, is not talking about maybe Drake Maye's readiness. He's talking potentially about the Patriots' readiness to start Drake Maye. And a head coach is not going to come out there and say, this is our very important piece of Tiffany that we can win the actual piece of Tiffany that we've got, 6 times over in the case inside, because of a certain recent red-jacketed individual was part of that. We're just not going to be able to protect him. I'm just wondering if that KJ Henry sack of Jacoby Brissett sealed it. And that might have been the final decision maker for Jerod Mayo. He won't say it publicly. He won't admit it, potentially even privately. Because Drake Maye certainly seemed to outperform Jacoby Brissett in the final throes of training camp. And if this is a true competition, then maybe Drake Maye did win it. But the prizes that await that win, I don't think the Patriots want. Because it's a prize in terms of a privilege to start in the National Football League and be a week 1 rookie starter in the National Football League, let alone being the 3rd overall pick in the NFL, let alone being the quarterback of the New England Patriots. I don't know if it's any prize to be behind the line that's being thrown out there, and the weapons that are around him are not the weapons that Caleb Williams and Jaden Davis had at their disposal. And so I think this may be, although disappointing to May, and certainly to any of those out there that are seeking to see daylight between Mayo and anybody else there. I don't know who those people may be, but there are some folks in the New England area that would like to stir things up, maybe. I think this is a prudent decision.
Yeah.
And one that is wise, because, not to speak for the fan base, anytime I do that, there's some pushback. I hear about it from my brother-in-law, my nephews, and everybody else up there in New England. I don't think there's any clamoring for it either.
To have Drake Maye start?
Correct.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think the fan base, when it all comes down to it, just like you sitting here, there's a reality.
Oh, it's going to be rough.
Right.
I think everyone knows it's going to be a 2, 3, 4 win season, and why have the kid go out there and get his brains beat in, and potentially have a Bryce Young type year like last year, or God forbid a David Carr situation where it's just 70, 80 sacks and loss of confidence, and then suddenly it's Mac Jones 2.0. We can't have that.
And if the criticism of the final throws of the Belichick era was the improper grooming of a young quarterback, this may be part of their process. And I know it's tougher to say in Jerod we trust after the 20-plus years of in Bill we trust. I think that is the prudent decision, and I think that May will get in there at some point this season. Maybe sooner than we think.
Yeah, probably soon.
But for the first 4 weeks of a season where you're starting in Cincinnati, and then you've got Seattle strolling in, and then a short week at the Jets front seven, and then San Francisco, a trip there.
Yeah. You don't want to put the kid out there.
No, I know Miami and Houston, and then a trip to London to take on Jacksonville, and then the Jets again is not easy either. But I don't know. I look at that 4-game stretch, instead of 3 being on the road, 3 are at home, and 1 is, in Jacksonville's home away from home Wembley Stadium. I don't mind it if that's where Drake Maye pops in.
Yeah.
I think it's better to do that than the other one. And then just one last opinion here on this matter. And I don't think we should take this for granted. Is that after 20-plus years of Bill's way, and it's all about Bill's handling of the football team, and the Kraft family delegated, and then, to be as honest as I can, had virtually no say. Okay? With the exception of maybe the Brady decision with Garoppolo and all that stuff,
that
right?
That seems like
okay.
Robert.
But everything else, it's Bill's way.
Oh, they turned it over.
They have turned it over, and this could have been a situation where we're going to put our fingerprints from the front office on a football decision because we can.
Oh, interesting.
Because we finally can. We have a breath of fresh. Bill's gone. Bill's hanging out with Peyton Manning and Pat McAfee and Eli Manning and the CW, and that's what Bill's doing.
Bill's going to be everywhere.
And we got a new coach here, and we could have some sort of influence on the quarterback decision, and we're going to let him sit the guy when we'd love to sell 10 jerseys all over the place? And you're not hearing a boo or a peep, and he's saying the organization's completely behind it. I kind of think that that's cool. Because the alternative could have been, management, upper management, ownership has really not had much of a 53-man conversation.
Interesting, yeah.
And this is the most important decision of the 53-man, and Mayo said, no. We're going to start the veteran that has no long-term future here, with all due respect, as the starter, as the franchise face, as the reason why you're going to try and deal with all that Foxborough traffic to sit in your seat in 20-degree weather.
Jacoby's the new Hoyer? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I mean, he could be. I don't know.
Could be.
And hopefully he does give the Patriots more wins and the fan base more of an excitement than what we're talking about over the last 12 minutes.
It would be super great, a very pleasant surprise if you were able to string together, 4, 5, 6 wins and Maye doesn't play till December. That would be awesome. Seems unlikely.
Maybe so. But the bottom line is, Mayo, you're the new coach here. You run it. We'll own it. You run it. And you want to sit the guy to start the season? Okay. Now, there might have been pushback internally, and I'm talking about, but face forward, ultimately, he made the choice. His team, his choice. They're putting this kid in his hands, and this is the way he sees fit to start it. In Jerod, we trust. Doesn't have the same ring. He does have some rings, but it doesn't have the same ring.
We'll get used to
figuratively.
it. We'll get used to it.
I just found that interesting.
What about Mayo we trust? Does that roll a little better?
The problem is people don't like mayo the condiment. And
that's true.
Now those are fight words, sir.
I do
I
not
don't want
like
a
mayo.
connotation.
Well,
of that.
save that, sir, for, let me get this correct, week 9.
Tennessee.
When they're visiting Will Levis. New England's own.
Brought to you by Hellman's.
New England's own. The guy who the Patriots passed on in the previous draft.
That's right. That's right.
And then it's fighting words for him.
Mayo versus
Mayo versus Levis. That'll be a great week 9 storyline. If he's starting. And I prefer to think he could start by then.
It's one of the things, you look at the schedule, you kind of wish the Pats had that post-London bye week. That'd be a great spot for Drake Maye to just slide right in there to week 8. You know, they have the late bye. They have a week 14 bye.
It should also be pointed out that that's a choice, by the way.
Yeah.
When you have, I believe, when you have the international games, you have the choice. Do you want the bye right after? And Pats clearly said no. Knowing that they had Mayo in house already.
I guess with all due respect, traditionally speaking, playing the Jets has been like a bye week, so it's just one of those things we can just.
Good one. No, that's okay. That's okay. By the way, it was finally announced today that I'm calling international games.
Oh, congrats.
Basically what I've been saying over and over and over again.
Congratulations.
No, Rich, can they, when you say they, I knew this, but I'm not exactly sure where it falls. When you say they can decide their bye, does it have to be the week after, or they can choose
They
the
can
week?
say, no. They can't choose when they get their bye. They can choose whether if they want it post-international.
Okay.
And some teams on the East Coast are like,
don't do it. Yeah, don't do it.
It's kind of like, flying from New England to London is similar to flying maybe to Seattle the other way.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make that much.
5-6 hours.
Right. Now, West Coast teams, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.